Today is going to be, I believe, the third test of the PNW belt drive system I installed in my TRAXXAS X-Maxx. I've made a few changes during the last video because the last couple times we've tried running this, the first time I tried running at the sand dunes in Michigan, that failed miserably. First issue we had is the green light kept on blinking on the ESC, so the ESC kept on going to thermal shutdown. I wasn't sure if that's because it's a 1/6 scale ESC, this is a Hobbywing Max 6, trying to push around a huge 1100 kV 1/5 scale motor, or if it had to do with the gearing, because this is a 25 spline. I'm going to call it spline. I don't know if it's spline or teeth, but as you can see there are teeth on these pulleys. I call this a 25 spline and a 30 spline pulley. They do have a 20 and a 30 available. And then also the pulley I think started coming loose. And then second time we had it out at my local park here, we ran into issues again, I think with not having enough belt tension. So I went back, and what I ended up doing was I drilled a hole higher up in these inserts. So there's inserts that this motor slides on, and there's only 2 holes on each of these inserts for different size motors, but in order for me to stretch this pulley and get enough tension on this belt, I need to drill a hole higher up on this insert right here so I could slide the motor up even higher. So I did that in the last video, and that put a lot more tension on that belt. I think I got that adjusted good. So at least for belt tension, I think we're in a lot better shape because it wasn't making any of that clicking / chattering noise it was making the last time. So my only main concern in this video is that the grub screws that hold this top pulley onto the motor shaft could come loose. I only have those held on with blue Loctite. The bottom pulley that's held onto the spur gear shaft, I actually ground a flat part down onto that spur gear shaft, and then I use red thread lock to tighten one of those grub screws right down onto that flat part. So I'm not really all that concerned about that bottom pulley coming loose, just the top one. But this, I think, is hopefully third time's the charm. I guess the other change I made in the last video, because we were still hitting thermal protection mode, so that's the green light blinking on the ESC. I didn't realize until like the end of the last video that my ESC fan wasn't even working. So what I went and did was I ordered a new Max 6 ESC fan, got that installed, that is working. So crossing my fingers, that'll keep the heat down. I also turned up that thermal cutoff mode from 221 up to 257 degrees, so it'll let the ESC get hotter before it actually cuts our power. And then I also put a brand new Castle dual blower fan on the motor as well, because only one of those fan blades was working last time, and I wanted to keep the motor cool. So hopefully with the fans on the ESC and the motor, hopefully this thing will stay cooler. So we're running 8S LiPo, 2 4-cell packs, 6500 milliamp, I think 60C discharge rate Yomi power packs. Let me go ahead, get them hooked up, and we'll test this thing out. Sounding a lot better this time. I can tell you that already. He's an absolute rocket. So far, it appears everything's sounding pretty good. Let's do a launch. Ready, get it. Ooh. Nope. Something happened, guys. Something just happened. I don't know if it just turned off or if something broke. I thought I heard a little bit of metal noise over there. Let's go check. I don't think it's on anymore. I think it turned the power off. Maybe it just hit thermal protection mode, but I thought I heard some type of like metallic noise there. No, it's still on. The green light's not on the ESC. That's what signifies thermal shutdown. Okay, there's definitely a noise. I was trying to figure out, did the top one move? I mean, if it did, it didn't come off completely. As you can tell, that does not sound right. I mean, this pulley's still on here though. Both the pulleys still seem to be on there pretty good, so where's the noise coming from? It's still getting the power down, but there's definitely some sort of noise. And tumbled it. I didn't want to end up on the road. There's a car coming. I can't tell where that noise is coming from, or if there's something else going on, like a bearing fell apart in here. There's a catch point right there. Right there, catch point. I don't know. I'm going to turn off the camera. I'll be back with you guys. Maybe I'll figure out something real quick. Or maybe we'll just keep on testing it. I put the body back on. I decided, nah, screw it. I'm not going to go try to take that all back apart just to tighten those set screws if that is the issue. Some might call that lazy, but long term, that's not something I'm going to do every single time. Like, I made sure those were as tight as can be, and if they come loose after 20-30 seconds worth of running, this setup's just not going to work long term. So that's why I'm not that concerned about it. This is starting to feel like a bust since this is the third video and it can't even hold up for 20 or 30 seconds of bashing going full throttle. You know, what am I supposed to do? There's clearly some sort of issue which appears to be coming from the belt drive system. I can't tell if it's the grub screws that came loose or not. I would guess maybe that's what it is, because there's definitely like a ticking noise. But it's still getting the power down right now, so I might just send it and just say screw it. When I go really slow, like look at that, that doesn't sound good at all. It's like catching. There's like a catching point, so I don't know what's going on there. Bye-bye. Yeah, the noise definitely is not confidence inspiring. It's sounding worse and worse, sounding crunchier and crunchier. And there she goes. Something gave. This has been a complete bust. For 50 bucks, I would not waste my money on this, guys. I will leave it linked down below if you do want to take the risk like I did, but I feel like this is money wasted just because I think what's probably going to happen, this is probably the last video you're going to see with this belt drive system. I think I'm ditching this belt drive system altogether, and we're probably just going to go ahead and put in a 1.5 mod setup. So I know Vitavon or Vitavon makes a 1.5 mod pinion and spur gear with a shaft for the spur gear as well. I might go with that. That's like 80 or 90 bucks, which isn't cheap, but I need some sort of solution because those stock pinion gears especially are garbage. Even with hardened steel ones, they still seem to strip. But as you can tell, the issue we're having now, oh, maybe it was the bottom one that, no, it's not the bottom one that gave. What the heck? Because look, the top pulley is spinning. The bottom pulley's spinning. I thought the bottom pulley came loose, but if you look, that spur gear shaft on the bottom is also spinning. So where is, I wonder if we broke the center drive shaft. Interesting. So maybe it wasn't the belt drive that gave. My other X-Maxx, the Behemoth, when we were doing the tug of war, that's exactly what happened. I was doing a tug of war with my Losi 5T, my brushless converted Losi 5T, and the Behemoth X-Maxx, and all of a sudden at the very end we lost all drive, basically all drive with the Behemoth X-Maxx, and I thought the center diff had given because there's a lot of smoke coming out of the center diff area. What had actually happened once I actually took it all apart is the actual end of the center drive shaft, which is just a thin piece of aluminum, the drive shaft, with a spline piece that slides in the end. What had happened is it had actually like broken. So I don't know if it had gotten so hot or from the torque that it actually broke, snapped the actual center drive shaft. So maybe that's what we had happen today, because as you can tell, oh, and I see we lost some screws. The screws that go down in the bulkhead are gone too. Something that's given down in there, so it's either the center diff or it's that spline piece or the actual center drive shaft that gave. Maybe we'll have this out one more time. I might have to get that center drive shaft replaced. I don't know. At least the good thing is it never hit, we weren't running super long, but it never hit thermal protection. So the new fan on the ESC and the new fans on the motors have kept this thing cool enough where it did not hit thermal temperature mode. So that's one bonus, I guess. So we figured out one thing, but that still doesn't solve the issues we're having with this belt drive system. I don't know. Well, if you guys did enjoy this video and you feel like you learned something, go ahead, hit that like button. Also make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell, because we will probably have this out again. And if not, we'll probably upgrade it to the 1.5 mod, but I might give this one more chance just because it appears that it's not the belt and the pulley that have given. It appears that it's something else in the drivetrain, because as you can see, I can move this. That spur gear is still spinning. That spur gear shaft, I should say, is still spinning. So everything's connected. It's something down in here or the actual center drive shaft that failed. So I'm going to wrap up this video. Kind of a bust of a video, but I guess we figured out a few things. So thanks for watching. See you later. Alright guys, I'm back home and I want to show you what happened. I thought that it was the center drive shaft that broke in, but as you guys saw when I was at the park, I had lost two of these screws that hold this cover down for the spur gear. And what actually happened is this output gear for the spur gear shaft actually completely stripped. So it was not the belt drive that failed. It was just another component. So I think I have another one of these. I think this is like a 20-tooth output gear sitting around. So I think I have what it takes to replace that. So we're going to have to get that fixed up. I'm going to have to get those two screws replaced. I'm assuming that's why it stripped, because I lost two of those screws. But I think it's because those screw holes have gotten somewhat stripped out. But we'll have to get that fixed up, and we'll have to have the belt drive system out for maybe one more test, and hopefully that test will actually work. So that solves the issue on what actually happened. So it's always something though, and I don't know if that had to do with just losing those screws, which seems like the most likely thing, or if it is somehow directly affected by putting the belt drive in. I don't know. I've never actually had one of these stripped before. That's the very first time I've actually stripped one of these, but losing the two screws on that one side, you could see how that wouldn't hold it in place and how it could easily strip it then. So who's to say? But that's the update on what happened with the X-Maxx. So stay tuned for the next video.